What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the downfall of U.S. tourism in 2025. So, apparently, last year wasn't a good year for us. Wasn't a good year for the United States. And I mean, I can't imagine why, right? Who knows? It's a complete mystery what happened last year. Okay, well, joking aside, due to a lot of the things that the United States and Donald Trump have done in the last year, I've heard that a lot of people around the world don't really want to come here to the United States anymore, which leads me to this video by the Informed Travelers. And today, I just want to learn more about how bad things have actually gotten in terms of US tourism declining and, overall just the damage that has been done to the USA's reputation. So let's take a look at this.
All year, there's been a debate about what's really happening to international travel in the United States. Was 2025 just a slow recovery year? A temporary pullback that would fix itself? With nearly a full year of data, that explanation no longer holds.
No, no, it doesn't. And I know I'm not under any delusion that this is temporary, that the attitude people have towards the US is temporary. I've been thinking about it a lot, like how much damage has been done to the American reputation and how big of a problem. I don't even think most Americans understand how big of a problem this is. And a lot of Americans don't realize how much tourism has gone down to the US in the last year. I've been hearing stuff about this, but I'm actually a bit nervous to hear about like the final numbers and the data for all of 2025 because I completely understand why a lot of people from a lot of countries around the world would be upset with the United States. I completely understand. It's not good for me. It's not good for us here in the US. I don't like it, but I understand. And I totally get it, like why people wouldn't want to come here if you don't like Trump or the US government or Americans or you feel disrespected or even if you don't feel safe coming here. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. It's sad for me to even have to, acknowledge, but I think most Americans need to just face facts about this.
Because globally, travel didn't slow. It grew.
What?
And that contrast matters. Numbers.
Wait, so people are still traveling around the world, obviously. But if anything, the amount of people traveling, that number grew, even though the amount of people going here to the US went down. That just kind of proves how people are just done with the US. There's more people traveling than ever, but less and less coming to the US. That's wow. Wow.
Numbers through November tell a consistent story, not driven by one country, one season, or one headline, but by multiple regions moving in the same direction for very different reasons. Some travelers pulled back quietly. Others never returned the way forecasts expected.
Oh my
And in places
God.
where arrivals stabilized, spending dropped instead. What the numbers show isn't a short-term dip or a delayed recovery. It's a shift in how international travelers are choosing the United States. And that shift is now impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
In this video, we look at how international travel to the US changed, and why that pattern matters more than the headlines.
So my worst fears are being realized. I think I kind of knew this was coming anyway. Um, this is not something we talk about much here in the US, by the way. How bad things are going, especially with like international attitudes towards the US. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Americans here who are very, very unhappy with a lot of the stuff that the United States has been doing. But we tend not to focus much on how we are affecting other countries and what other countries, the impact that's having on us. This is just one example. People don't want to travel here.
Let's start with Canada, the largest source of international tourism to the United States, and the
Right.
earliest sign of a broader shift.
Right.
About a quarter of all overseas visits to the US come from Canada,
Wow.
but that changed at the start of 2025. In January and February, Canadian travel into the US fell by double digits.
Oh
Both
my
land crossings and
God.
air travel declined at the same time, an unusual pattern outside of major global disruptions.
And it's like, for one thing, it makes a lot of sense for Canada in particular because Donald Trump has done a lot of things specifically aimed at Canada with certain tariffs and trade wars policies, making fun of the Canadian leaders, threatening annexation, threatening like to make them become the 51st state. So I think Canadians in particular, maybe that's why we're starting with them, are staying away from the US. And also because Canadians, according to this, accounted for like the majority of international travel here, like 25% of people traveling here were from Canada. I mean, now it says that's dropping dramatically, but oh my God. And Americans have no idea. Truly, I think Americans have no idea.
At the time, many assumed it would correct itself. It didn't. Canadian travel
I, don't, I did not think this would necessarily correct itself. If anything, it's just getting worse. The more and more Trump does, especially now we have like all the Greenland stuff going on, like threatening actual military use on Greenland to force Greenland to become part of the U.S. Um, it's like I think it's getting worse and worse for us because we keep doing worse and worse things. It's insane. Yeah. So I was under no delusion that it would get better. I was just hoping it wouldn't get worse, but it is getting worse.
stayed lower month after month with no seasonal rebound. And instead of recovering during the summer, the decline deepened. In the third quarter, the heart of peak travel season, Canadian arrivals were down nearly 30% compared to the year before.
Wow.
The weakness held across both land crossings and air travel, breaking the pattern of quick recoveries seen in the past. Canadians didn't stop traveling. Domestic and overseas trips to other destinations continued to recover. The pullback was specific to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
As the year progressed, the impact spread beyond border regions.
It's tough to listen to, but you got to face facts. You got to understand the truth of the matter. But I think a lot of Americans don't want to admit all this stuff. Yeah. Like, this is. The fear is how deeply entrenched this is going to be. Is there any possibility of this course correcting, or the American reputation recovering once Donald Trump is out of office? Like, that's already. I don't even see this getting better for at least 3 years.
Major destinations that rely heavily on Canadian visitors, including New York, California, and Florida, began seeing fewer repeat trips and shorter stays.
Mm-hmm.
By November, the pattern was no longer ambiguous. Canada didn't pause and then return. It pulled back early, and it stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
And once that held through the year, it became the first clear sign of a broader pattern beyond North America.
You would think that the US, even if we don't care about our reputation, and even if we have this ego and we just do what we're going to do, you would think that the US would respond to losing all this money. If nothing else, like this is losing the United States so much money, billions, billions, and billions of dollars on lost tourism and business, and not to mention, like, with the tariffs, a lot of American companies are importing less and less goods from other countries, which is just, it's, that has not been helping our domestic market. Lowering our imports to the US due to the tariffs and not wanting to have those extra charges, that has not been a positive. Like, the American economy really relies a lot on imports and trading and selling goods from other countries here within the US. Anyway, it's just one stupid thing after another.
Western Europe was expected to be a stabilizing force for U.S. travel in 2025. These are experienced travelers with a long history of visiting the United States.
Okay.
Instead, Germany finished the year with arrivals down in the double digits.
Wow.
Switzerland, France, and the Netherlands followed with significant declines and no meaningful recovery.
Wow.
Tourism visas fell. Total arrivals stayed below prior year levels. And unlike short-term disruptions, the pullback held as the year neared its end.
Wow.
What separated Western Europe from other regions wasn't affordability. It was confidence. Throughout 2025, stories about heightened border scrutiny, secondary inspections, and traveler detentions circulated widely in European media.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, that was kind of something I was getting at earlier. People not wanting to travel here because it's annoying. It might not even feel safe, and it feels like you're under all this extra scrutiny. I've read a little bit about some new policies that the US is implementing so that people can't visit the US for as long. Like, you can't make this up. Less people want to come here. And we are also making it more difficult for people to come here. Like, we're hurting ourselves. It's unbelievable.
They didn't stop travel entirely, but they changed the calculation. For discretionary overseas trips, uncertainty matters. Travelers didn't cancel vacations. They redirected them. That redirection becomes clear when you look at the broader context. In 2025, global travel expanded. Many major destinations saw rising international arrivals. Against that backdrop,
It sounds like everybody is actually benefiting off the declining tourism to the US. Our tourism is going way down, and everyone else is going up and reaping all the benefits.
Western Europe's performance in the US stands out. Some markets, like the UK and Spain, didn't collapse. They were largely flat. But in a growth year, flat isn't neutral. It means falling behind. By the end of 2025, the expected European rebound never arrived. And for the US, that mattered, because these are some of its most consistent, high-value international visitors.
Sure.
What came next made the pattern even harder to dismiss, especially when you look north at how a different part of Europe responded.
These are Europeans, I think they said Western Europeans, who traditionally have very reliably traveled to the US, and even those, our most faithful customers, you could say, our most faithful travelers who like to travel here are down. That's down. I don't. Do we have to continue? Like, can this get any worse?
Every major Northern European country sent fewer visitors to the United States in 2025 than the year before.
Yeah.
Denmark was the clearest example. By the end of the year, Danish arrivals were down by 23%.
Wow.
A meaningful decline for a stable, high-travel country. Norway, Sweden, and Finland followed the same direction.
So literally, like, every country is down. Like, across the board, it feels like. Every country. Like, I don't know if literally every country in the world, but it feels that way. Every country is down, or less people traveling to the US.
Their declines were smaller but consistent, and they held through the year. This wasn't a collapse, but it was visible, measurable, and sustained.
Oh, yeah.
What makes Northern Europe important is who these travelers are. They are wealthy, frequent international travelers with plenty of options.
Sure.
And in 2025, they continued to travel, just less often, to the United States.
Yeah.
This wasn't a cost-driven pullback. It was a quiet shift in travel preference. Throughout the year, travel advisories, widely reported detentions, and heightened political tension added friction to U.S. travel planning.
So, in a lot of these countries, is it true that you're actually having travel advisories? Like, in these countries, you actually talk about how it could be dangerous or you could run into trouble traveling to the US. Is that actually like what it's like? Because that's something we obviously don't get to see into here in the United States. That's a part of other countries. We don't really get to know what you guys are saying about us or traveling here. You know, what you're really saying or that's in your news. And yeah, so I'm actually really interested to like get more insight into that.
Not enough to stop travel entirely, but enough to change destination choice. At the same time, alternatives felt easier and more predictable.
I'm sorry, it just like reminds me like how foolish it was for the US to think people would value the US so highly that you would just give in to every trade demand, you would still travel here, you would like people would do anything to utilize the United States. And it's just not true. People will travel to other countries instead. People will do trade with other countries instead. What just such an arrogance point of view that we had.
Travel within Europe grew. Southern Europe absorbed demand. Asia rebounded. In that context, the United States didn't lose access. It lost relative appeal. And when even stable, high-confidence countries begin pulling back, it reinforces the broader shift already visible elsewhere.
Yeah.
At this point, you could argue the decline was limited to nearby countries, short trips, regional travel, places with easy alternatives. But long-haul travelers tell a different story.
Oh boy.
Travelers from Asia and Oceania typically plan far ahead, commit more time, and spend more per trip.
What?
These aren't spontaneous journeys, they're deliberate decisions. And in 2025, fewer of those travelers chose the United States.
Wow.
From
It literally is everybody. It's not just like Canadians who don't want to come here or Europeans. It's like now it just keeps going.
From Australia and New Zealand, arrivals declined compared to the year before. Across much of Asia, the pattern was similar, with only a small number of exceptions, notably Japan and Taiwan. Most long-haul countries sent fewer visitors to the U.S., not more.
Yeah.
This wasn't because long-haul travel slowed globally. It didn't. People were still flying across continents. They were still taking extended trips.
Wow.
They were just choosing different destinations. That matters because long-haul visitors play an outsized role in travel. They stay longer, spend more per visit, and drive revenue well beyond raw arrival counts.
So, I mean, if I understand, this news couldn't be worse for the U.S. Every country, it feels like many countries across the entire planet, and travelers looking to stay long and short, it's all down for 2025. It's just all down for the whole year for the U.S.
So when this group softens, the impact is structural, not cosmetic. By the end of 2025, the pattern was clear. The pullback wasn't limited to neighbors or short stays. Even travelers who usually come regardless were choosing differently. And that shift explains why the next story isn't just about arrivals. It's about spending. By the second half of 2025, one thing became harder to ignore.
Oh boy.
Even in places where visitor counts appeared to stabilize, the money wasn't following. Spending was falling faster than arrivals. That wasn't random. It was about who was missing. Short cross-border trips from Canada disappeared. European visitors stayed fewer nights. And long-haul travelers, the ones who usually stay the longest and spend the most, showed up less often.
I mean, you would think more Americans would be like up in arms about this. I think a lot of American businesses are very much like alarmed by this because those are the ones feeling the most pain, especially like American tourism, hotels, travel businesses are feeling the effects of this probably the most on the front line of this. And it's so ironic because a lot of this, especially like the trade stuff, was meant to, it was supposed to help us, you know? It was it was supposed to help American businesses and grow our economy and the things that the US have done, like have done nothing but seemingly hurt our reputation and hurt us financially. The one thing we thought it would help.
When that happens, revenue drops even if headcounts don't collapse. Some countries did send more travelers. Argentina is one example.
Oh.
Arrivals from Argentina rose by roughly 16%.
Oh, okay.
But those gains couldn't offset what was lost.
No.
A modest increase from a smaller long-haul country doesn't replace millions of short trips from Canada or extended stays from Europe and Asia. Volume matters, frequency matters, length of stay matters.
Think about that. Millions of people are not coming here. Millions of people that would have come and spent, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of dollars here. 1,000,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000,000. So yes, like it's so, you can so easily see how quickly this is costing us so much money.
This is why 2025 looked misleading on the surface. You could point to arrival numbers and argue the situation wasn't catastrophic, but spending told a different story. Hotels felt it first. Shorter stays, lower per visit spend. Restaurants, attractions, and local businesses felt it next.
Yeah.
The issue wasn't just fewer visitors. It was fewer of the visitors who drive tourism revenue. And
Right.
once spending starts falling faster than arrivals, the impact stops being abstract. It becomes local,
Oh, yeah.
which is why the effects showed up first in border states and gateway cities.
I think it like a lot of this financial stuff takes a while to actually feel the effects throughout the entire US economy. And I think now, like now that it's 2026, like the effects of 2025 and all of the lost money, like we are really starting to actually feel the effects of that.
The places most exposed to international travel. By the end of 2025, the decline was no longer just about flights or hotel bookings. It reflected something broader. Across multiple regions, confidence in the United States softened. Not overnight, not because of one event, but through a steady accumulation of friction, tariffs, political tension, border scrutiny, and a growing sense of unpredictability.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, nobody should be surprised by this. No American should even, like, we can't even blame anybody who doesn't want to come here based on the things that we've done. Like, I can be upset at the US and upset about what is happening to the decline of the US, but I can't be upset at people protesting the US and not wanting to be a part of it or come here. Because I get it. Like, which is a very strange feeling as an American.
Public opinion data showed U.S. favorability falling across much of Europe, Canada, and parts of Asia. Trust in U.S. leadership weakened in many of the same countries where travel declined. These trends didn't
Yeah.
stop people from traveling, but they changed how people felt about choosing the United States. And in travel, perception matters.
Oh, yeah.
Tourism is discretionary. When confidence drops, travelers hesitate.
Like, I think a lot of Americans would be confused and be like, why aren't people coming? It's great here. My life is great. Nothing's changed. And there's all this great stuff. And it doesn't matter, like, what Americans have to say about it's what people around the world think and what you guys see and how you guys perceive us. That is what matters to ultimately your decision making, right?
They choose destinations that feel easier, calmer, and more predictable. That's what makes the shift in 2025 so important. The United States is preparing to host major global events, including the FIFA World Cup in 2026.
That's right.
Events that rely on openness, goodwill, and global enthusiasm.
That's right.
If international sentiment continues to slide, the impact won't just be fewer tourists. It will be missed opportunity on a global stage. What 2025 confirmed is this: U.S. tourism didn't stumble because demand disappeared. It shifted because confidence changed. And unless that confidence is rebuilt, the decline won't correct itself naturally.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was rough. Kind of, sort of what I was expecting, I have to admit. I knew it was going to be bad, but hearing it laid out like that is just depressing. For, like, as an American, just... I think because it's all true, and because it's like, what's the future going to hold? That's the other part. The first part is it's all true, and it's all like, there's good reasons why people aren't coming here. And then the next thing is, how is this going to change? We have at least 3 more years of Donald Trump, and it's only getting crazier. So, I don't know. But I always think that it's very good to stay informed about this stuff and for Americans to learn about it and acknowledge what's happening and understand it, even if it's not good for us. So I did enjoy this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the U.S., traveling to the U.S., not wanting to travel to the U.S. That'd be very interesting, especially if you're, from outside the U.S. That'd be an amazing perspective to hear from. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.